last night, G2 absolutely destroyed 100 Thieves. As we can see, 100 Thieves, they got destroyed 13-5 on Lotus, and then they lost their map pick of Abyss. And the map we are going to take a look at today is Abyss because 100 Thieves, they played a very standard comp. They had a Gecko instead of a KO. We've seen a lot of teams go for like the very Ascent-esque comps with that double initiator. Very standard. However, G2 went very out of line, and they went Sova, Astra, Killjoy, Yoru, Viper. So they're playing double smokes with an Astra, which is crazy in itself. And then they're adding a Yoru and a Killjoy into the mix, which is pretty absurd. So we're just going to take a look at how they managed to beat 100 Thieves. And real quickly, I just want to highlight this. 100 Thieves are banning Bind. This was like their fortress during Shanghai and during Stage 1. They're banning Bind. Like, they're banning their former best map. Like, the wheels are falling off the bus for 100 Thieves right now. And if they want to have any chance at making champs and having any kind of a run, they need to figure it out really quickly. Because obviously Abyss, it's not really working very well for them. So yeah, we're just going to take a look at how G2 managed to destroy 100 Thieves with this crazy comp. So the first round we're going to take a look at here is round number 1. And 100 Thieves are going to go for this. They're just going to hit B here. And the thing that's going to lose them around here is a poor post plant setup for 100 Thieves because they actually do very well on the execute. They're executing into a Killjoy alarm bot, a Molly, a Viper wall, and I think Viper has a Molly, or his alarm, sorry. So it's a very strong setup on the B side for G2, which I think is how this map is actually going to be played out a lot. You're going to be playing more retake towards A and more on-site on B. Just because of how strong this B post plant will be, because of this wall being wall bangable. If you buy an Odin, if you buy an Ares, or even if you just have a Vandal, you can spray through this wall from heaven onto default, and that's going to be really powerful to play post plant. So you're going to want to play to hold this B site. So as we can see,
play these out.
G2 have this very interesting Viper wall that it's for main and it's for people jumping across danger, which I think is very interesting. It could be good. It might not be the best wall that you have on this map, but it also threatens the push-up here into main, which I quite like a lot. But Jonah P is actually just going to get picked off here because of the Gecko Mosh, as we can see in a second. They throw this Gecko Mosh lineup from Asuna. So they got the Sova Dart, they got the Mosh lineup coming in a second, if they show it. So yeah, Mosh lineup comes in, which is actually, I'm going to highlight this real quick. This is actually a very good lineup, if we can find it. It lands right here. It clears all of backside. I know TMV was trying to find a lineup for this, and it's a very good lineup, and then it ends up punishing Jonah P here. So they do actually end up taking the site. However, as you can see, they're just going to overextend a little bit. I'm going to skip forward a tiny second. Actually, never mind. But they overextend here a little bit. Bang gets stuck in this kind of corner here. What they should have done here is just played post plant, is what EU was understanding that they were going to play post plant. However, Bang pushes up here, Cryo stays pushed up, and G2 are just too good of a team to be doing this. Like, they're not going to fall for this kind of stuff. They're going to clear together. As you can see, they swing together, they clear him out, they fight Cryo together, and now it's a 3v1 post plant. It's unwinnable for EU. And so it just shows a little bit of the cracks for 100 Thieves, where they're a little bit less drilled. And G2 right now, they look like the best team in Americas, especially after the downfall of Sentinels. Like, they look like the team to beat right now. They are just playing so well drilled. They play together extremely well. And it really got showcased on this pistol round. So the next round we're going to take a look at is round number 3. And G2 are going for a very Lotus-esque setup here this round. Where they have this alarm bot holding bot mid. If you drop down here, then they're going to assume that they can hear it. If you break door, they can definitely hear it. And then they're playing very passive on B with both the Killjoy and the Viper. And they're getting aggressive out towards A. So as we can see here, I'll just mute it. They go for this early A fight, and they actually end up going down in numbers on this early A fight. However, they do end up getting Bang, which is going to lose 100 Thieves around by not having their smoke. So Bang gets 2 here, which is good on him, but he ends up dying. And so 100 Thieves have no smokes this round, and that's actually end up going to lose them the round. So they go for this kind of like half fake on B, where they just Sova drone. But G2, again, they're just such a well-drilled team. They know what you're going to do, and they realize that it's just a drone. There's no jet behind it. There's nothing else to follow up. There's no Mosh lineup coming in. So they realize that it's probably not going to be B, and it's a very basic fake towards A. So as you can see, They end up gambling towards A. I'm just going to skip forward a little bit because nothing really happens. And then 100 Thieves just go in for this A hit, and it ends up being 3-on-3 with Boostio lurking mid. But they don't have smokes, which is end up what loses them the round because they throw in the Gecko, or the Wingman, sorry. But it just gets shot from heaven because they don't have any smokes. So that's end up what's losing the round. So as you can see, real quick, they do, I think, yeah, they lost their flash off the map, which is kind of funny. But yeah, they lose their Wingman, it just gets shot from heaven. And now they just don't know what to do because they have 2 players stuck in main. Boostio is heard on the lurk. Cryo's in sight, and they just look lost. I'm going to be honest. They look lost. Cryo ends up having to take a 1v1. He loses it. Austin gets the bomb down. Boostio gets caught out on the flank. And it looks bad. I'm not going to lie, from 100 Thieves. They're very lost here. And then G2, they play this very well. After this, they turret, they hold, and they realize that he has to try to make a play. So they just wait a second. They get the kill. Boom. Round's over. And so 100 Thieves just look very lost here, especially with no smokes their smokes player going down early in the round. It's very unfortunate for them. But that does kind of what you have to do, or kind of what happens when you send that Cypher in mid. You have the Omen holding here, and it's kind of like they tried to go for a very kind of like Ascent style setup where you have the Cypher holding one side, you have the Omen holding the other side, and you have the 3 exploring somewhere else. However, that doesn't work because there's no Omen one way that he can throw and play off of. So it just doesn't work as well because it's so much easier to pick off that Omen that they just get screwed over later in the round. All right, next round we're going to take a look at is round number 6, and this kind of showcases some of the issues that G2 have had as a team kind of the entire year, which is that lack of firepower. 100 Thieves start off the round pretty interestingly with the smoke. I quite like this. It's kind of in the ground a little bit. And so it threatens, like, hey, we could maybe walk across here if you're not watching. And it just puts a lot of pressure on the defenders to try to have to hold this. However, they decide to go back towards an A hit. So this smoke actually does work. It does manage to get Icy to hit the TP. However, he just throws one, rotates back to A. Boostio spams the alarm bot out mid, which does force G2 to try to go for this reclear. I think this is honestly part of the plan for G2 the entire time because they have this lockdown and this Sovolt. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they can go for this reclear at mid, just make sure Boostio isn't there lurking, like he has been in the past, because they're just playing retake. So, 100 Thieves go for the site hit. It's a very clean site hit. Nobody's here, so pretty easy. But one thing I did want to showcase, Trent does get the kill on the ult here, but look at this Astra suck. So, if I go back a second and you look at the minimap, when he puts it down, yeah. So, he puts it down just barely off of the site. And so he pulls Wingman off the site, so it actually breaks the Wingman. Because when Wingman gets Astra pulled off of the site, like where he can't plant anymore, you know what I mean? Like off of the yellow area, he gets destroyed. So it forces Asuna to have to pick up the bomb and plant himself, which is just some interesting tech that you might argue for Astra on this map, like a reason that you would play Astra over Omen. And I actually am really liking the Astra instead of Omen on this map so far, from what we've seen. But yeah, so G2 end up in this 4v2 situation. They have a lockdown. However, Bang and Asuna, they just managed to find the kills here. He finds the kill on the flank on Jonah P, finds the spam on Leaf, and now it's 2v2. TP's away. And then he just finds 3 more. Like, they just meant, like, this round was in G2's hands, and then they just couldn't convert these fights. Like, and he finds the final kill. Like, this is such a BS round from 100 Thieves. Like, G2 should have had this the entire way, but they just managed to find the fights and win, which I think if you have a concern for G2, like, that is the concern, is that they just don't have the firepower. Because if we go back over to VLR, oh, again, Nad. If you go back over to VLR, I see their duelist player was bot frag. Like, they just don't have the firepower that a international winner might need. So that was my only issue as to why they wouldn't win champs this year. All right, next round we're going to look at is the pistol round for the second half. As you can see, real quickly, I just want to highlight the setup for both teams. So this Viper Wall from Jonah P, he's going to throw this every single round of their attack half. And I quite like it a lot. It gives you this little space for you to plant on. It lets you plant danger. And it puts a lot of pressure on the defenders, especially because Boostio doesn't have his trips more aggressive. They're very passive. So it just puts a lot of pressure on the defense, and it gives you this little bit of area that if you wanted to plant, you could. There is the issue of getting spammed, of course, but I quite like it a lot. I quite like Viper on this map. So you can see 100 Thieves are going for this very mid-heavy setup, which is what you have to do when you don't have Killjoy and you're playing your Cypher all the way on site. That's the main argument for Killjoy on this map, is that you can't really trip mid that well with a Cypher. So like a turret here, as you can see in for G2, or a turret here, as we've seen in other regions, is very powerful. Because a turret here can actually hold both upper and lower. And then if they break the door, you'll hear the door break. So they're playing very heavy in mid, playing more of a retake setup on A. So we're just going to let the round play out a little bit. But G2 are just going to go for this 5-stack B hit. And it's just going to look pretty good for them. As you can see, we got the drone coming out. The Yoru TP in. Jonah P, however, I just want to highlight this as well. Jonah P has gone for a sheriff on Viper, which is very not typical. Normally you want to buy a Molly or an orb. But I just want to highlight that because they're not very good orb spots. So that's what you would argue against Viper for, is that you can't really orb mid that well for like a lurk. There's not, because if you orb here, they can just hold here. If you orb here, they can just hold here. So there's not very great orb spots unless you're just throwing it on the bomb. So he has gone for the sheriff, which I just want to highlight that if you are a Viper hater on this map, that would be something you would argue, is that her other utility besides the wall is not that great. But yeah, ICTP's in, gets hit by the shot, hit by the trip, sorry. So they do go down early in the round, however, they do manage to even it up with that sheriff on Jonah P. So, and then this is where I would say that the firepower can not be an issue for G2 as well. Like, they have the potential for some high firepower players. They're just not very consistent in it. Like, run around, Leaf will get 3, and the next he'll be first kill. Like, they're just not very consistent in their fragging, kind of like how like a Demon 1 last year was on EG, or like how an Aspes is right now, or how a player like Durka is and Alpha Year is for Fnatic. Like, they're very consistent in the amount of kills they can get you, and G2 just have that a little bit of an issue with consistency. But yeah, they just end up winning the fights out, which is very typical for all the Abyss games I've seen so far, is that it's very, especially for the pistol round, it's very team fight oriented. Like, you're not taking very many 1v1s. You're kind of just running it down as a team on that B side. The next round we're going to take a look at is round number 16, and 100 Thieves actually managed to go on a bit of like a miniature run here. They got 4 in a row, managed to even it up, but or almost even it up, sorry, but G2 managed to pull it out at the very end. So it was actually a really cool round from G2, but again, they just managed to lose out the fights. So they're going to get the orb on the IC here in main. I'm just going to skip forward to it. So yeah, he gets the orb, and then he rotates back mid, and he throws a TP in main. So the play here is that they're going to Yoru ult in mid to kind of clear it out and let Jonah P get up deep for the lurk. So yeah, if the observers would show it. Yeah, he's about to Yoru ult, and then Jonah P is just going to follow him down. Right here, he's going to shift walk in. He's going to make the noise of him leaving the ult. He's going to make the clone noise, and he eventually just TPs out. So it puts a lot of pressure on 100 Thieves on this A side. And then G2 decide to go back for a B hit after they've inserted Jonah P in A. However, Cryo gets a pick with the op here, pushed up in this off angle, or kind of like a weird off angle. I quite like this. They tried to hold this a lot. This kind of setup where they have one person in main, one person holding here on heaven. So they get a pick there, and then Jonah P again, if we just go back a second. Yeah, he just whiffs the fight. Quite unfortunate after here, and now they're in a 3v5. They try to go for an execute. Ben gets 2, and it's just unfortunate. So it's a really cool idea from G2, just kind of poor execution for them. I really like the Yoru on this map. The Yoru ult through mid with the lurk behind is a very cool concept that I haven't really seen a lot. But just unfortunate that 100 Thieves managed to win out those fights again. So the last round we're going to look at is round number 19, and this is the round that pretty much secures the map for G2, which is weird to say because it is 9-9, but they managed to just go on like a four round run after this. So G2 are coming off of a timeout. They're on an eco here, and they're going to go for kind of like this mid default. So they put a little bit of pressure mid. Cryo is holding the op on the A main. Boostia is set up on B, pretty standard from 100 Thieves. I just want to point out real quick that they do end up throwing their Viper Orb here in bot mid. I was very curious where they would end up putting that on default on like gun rounds and stuff, but this orb here is decent. It blocks off the Killjoy turret if they have one. Obviously, they're not running Killjoy, so yeah, they put a lot of pressure mid. They put an Astra smoke. They put a dart deep. But they end up just backing up and going for a B hit, and their B hit was actually very good this round. I'm just going to skip forward a little bit because they don't do much. But yeah, their B hit is very good this round. They have a really good understanding of what Busio is going to try to do here and how to punish him. So they throw the Astro Smokes down. Leaf manages to spam the tripwire, and then this turret or this Molly here is really good because it flushes him out into this front area where because he can't play back anymore. He doesn't have any cover. He has to play in the cage. And then Icy Yoru TPs behind him, so it breaks his crosshair, and then they can just flood in behind him when he's not looking at them. So a really good execute on the Busio here. They also find the kill in Heaven. I'm not sure how the Observer didn't show it. I'm pretty sure Jonas P just want to fight here. But yeah, a really good hit on the Busio. They had a really strong understanding of how he was going to try to play the rounds. And then they Viper ult to secure, and that's pretty much just over for 100 Thieves. Like, they can't do much into a Viper ult here. So they try to go for it, but yeah, it's not happening. So Cryo does frag out a little bit here. So like that star power 400 Thieves is showing, but they just don't look as well drilled as G2. And so actually, I just noticed this. This is a very interesting plant spot. I did not know you could plant on the edge here. It's kind of cool. Some cool little tech here for you guys to steal for your ranked games. But yeah, G2, they looked very well drilled here, especially on their executes. And they just had a very strong understanding as the game went on of how Busio was going to try to play. They recognized his like kind of setup and what he tries to like to run, and they just knew how to counter it pretty well. So, yep. After this, G2, they go on a run. 100 Thieves get one round in, but they just close the game out from here. So, yeah, a very strong showing from G2, especially on the Lotus where they 13-5'd. Just an absolute domination. But I really wanted to show off this comp that they ran. I really liked it a lot. The double smokes looked very good. The Yoru looked very good on top of that. And so, yeah, I think a lot more teams will go this direction and head away from this kind of like boring Ascent style-esque kind of thing. I think they'll head more in the direction of like a Viper as the map gets older and as they get more time to scrim on it. So, yeah, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking, subscribing. It really helps me out. And, yeah, thank you.